what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2004 Saturn Ion Sedan. Up front is a 2.2 liter inline 4 and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be making this video because I always love reviewing Saturns. Saturn is just one of those brands that obviously we don't get anymore, but it had a very short life, but a very impactful life, to the point where there's still Saturn car groups here today, there's still Saturn only shows, and they haven't made a product in almost 15 years. So let's dive into this Ion Sedan today with a 5-speed manual. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2.2 liter Ecotec engine. Well, gone are the days where Saturn had their own bespoke engines. This was shared with the Cavalier and other GM cars that just needed a basic, simple engine. It's nothing to write home about. It's not cool, it's not fancy or nice, but it gets the job done. They were relatively reliable for what they were, and I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, paired to it though is a 5-speed manual transmission. And it doesn't shift great. It's a little bit clunky, a little bit stiff, a little bit unforgiving. What I would expect out of an American-made manual transmission. We just didn't know how to make economy manuals or good feeling manuals in this era. However, I have to say, I'm shifting my own gears in a Saturn sedan past 1999. So I am very, very happy about that, although the Saturn S series from the 90s did have a lot nicer feeling of a transmission. Last but not least, the Ion, no matter the transmission, still is front wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Saturn Ion? Well, like I said, it's really engaging because of that manual transmission. And the 2.2 liter is peppy enough. It has enough get up and go to do the things that I want it to do, but it's not a power monster. Now, in this era, they had just freshly offered the Saturn Ion Red line, and that did put some pep in your step. Steering is nice and light, visibility is good, and the only unfriendly thing, like I said, is that shifter. It feels a little bit stuck in the mud, but again, I'm not complaining. I'm driving a manual sedan, which doesn't really exist here in the American market in 2024. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. In front of me, I ain't got nothing. On the steering wheel, we do have cruise control options. And off to the left, we have a climate vent cubby, as well as what would be a fog light switch, but this was not equipped with that option. On the door, we have lock and unlock, latch to get in and out, power mirrors, and power windows. And then moving into the center, this is where we find the gauge cluster. So we have coolant temperature and fuel off to the left, speedometer in the center, and tachometer off to the far right. We do get a little Ion badge along with the hazard switch. Standard Saturn radio, nothing really too crazy there, although we do have a CD player. That's, nice for 2004. Climate controls, where to send it off to the left, fan speed in the center, temperature off to the right, and 2 cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Saturn Ion from 2004, and it fails, but I expected it to. This shifter looks decently presentable. I like the big shift boot on it. Relatively economy feeling, but again, par for the course. Like I said, I just don't like how the linkages feel, but that's okay. Then we do have a 12-volt outlet and the handbrake, little center console, and the seats. The seats are pretty hard. This is where you'll notice that they are very, very economy seats, so don't expect to be swimming in luxury if you end up picking up a Saturn Ion, but they do the job and they hold me in the car. However, for the first time on the channel, we actually have a full sedan, not the weird coupe sedan, 4-door, 3-door, weird door sedan. So let's go do a proper backseat review of the Saturn Ion. All right, so we're in the back of the Saturn Ion sedan, and it's really nice to have a full door next to me. Once we are back here, the seats don't get any more comfortable, unfortunately. I do get a 12-volt outlet down on the floor, and I don't get any sort of center console. So this car could be had for about $16,000 back in the day, which was relatively affordable. And so it's obvious to see where some of those savings were had. But not a bad back seat. Spatially, head isn't hitting the ceiling. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. Knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. So I actually fit back here, which couldn't be said about all economy cars of this era. So that's a small victory for the Ion sedan. let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Saturn Ion, little keyhole here. Pop it up like that, and here's the trunk. Unfortunately, don't really have anything special to show you, but this is the trunk of an Ion sedan, something we haven't seen here on the channel, so I guess that's kind of cool, but nothing really impressive. Now we gotta talk about the looks. It's fine, it does the job. I don't love it, I don't hate it. I'm rather indifferent on it, in my humble opinion, but it's just fun to see a Saturn. I love seeing that Saturn badge on things because it's just something we don't see anymore. So anytime I get to see a Saturn Ion, or Saturn in general, is a pretty happy day for me. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Saturn Ion with the 5-speed manual? Well, I have two schools of thought. First of all, I really enjoy this experience. I love driving quirky and weird cars, and I wasn't gonna film this video until I found out it had a 5-speed manual, and then I said, yes, please. I like it. You know, you don't see them anymore. It's an Ion. It's cute, adorable. Saturn was always such a non-offensive company, and I just always have good memories with Saturns. Saturn was always kind of a happy-go-lucky company, and so the cars reflected that. But the other school of thought is that this was a relatively major downturn in Saturn's life. Because by this era, Saturn started using just standard GM parts, like that Ecotec. And while it didn't share a body, not yet at least, the later Saturn Relay, and I'm blanking on what that SUV was, but that SUV that's up on the screen that I'm forgetting the name of, that was just a badge replacement, and that's it. This at least had a different body. It looked different than other GMs. But back in the 90s, I guess I just sort of romanticized 90s Saturns. They had their own bodies, they had their own engines, they had their own look, and they filled a very important hole in the market. This, well, you could have just bought a 4-door Cavalier and it kind of accomplished the same thing. Or the Sunfire, or I don't know, just this era of Saturn starts to get a little wishy-washy for me. Again, cool to be driving a Saturn, but the spark just feels like it might have left Saturn's eye by this point. And by the end of the decade 2009, well, they were out of business. So while I could rant and rave about other options at the time, or why this Ion didn't sell amazingly well, XYZ, I'm just gonna sit here and be happy that I'm driving a stick-shift Saturn here in 2024. Something that fewer and fewer people every year will be able to say. And I got to show you guys a quirky feature of a Saturn that I didn't know was offered. A manual sedan? That's pretty doggone good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to John for letting me borrow the Saturn Ion in today's video. I also reviewed his Ion Redline, which I adored through and through. So I really got to see both ends of the spectrum of mid-2000s Saturn. And so I appreciate John and all of his help here on the channel. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys. There's reverse. Jeez.